On this episode of the Ask Mike Reinold Show, we talk about the new internal brace procedure for Tommy John surgery.
The Ask Mike Reinold Show. Helping people feel better, move better, and perform better.
Before we get to the podcast, I wanted to make sure you knew about my free online course on the Introduction to Performance Therapy and Training. If you want to learn how to get started optimizing and enhancing performance, this is the course for you. Head to mikereinold.com/performance to sign up today. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the Ask Mike Reinold Show. We are here at Champion PT and Performance up in Boston, answering your questions. Anything you want to talk about, just ask away. Go to mikereinold.com, click on that podcast link, and you can submit the form and really ask us anything. Sports medicine, PT, career advice, performance, anything you want to talk about. We are here for you. Let's see, who do we have today? We have Lenny Macrina, Dave Tilley, Brenda Gates, Dewesh Podell, and Anthony Vedetto, all here for your listening pleasure today. No students. We're kind of playing with some new formats that we're messing with the podcast. So, Len, I don't know, do you have any opening statements since you don't have the students to announce?
No, I usually write the students down and it's blank. So I get I was waiting for a magical arrival.
You have a scratch pad there on your desk.
We have a whole PT department of students now, so I have to keep track of each one like gremlins. So, yeah.
All right. So first question from today. I'll be happy to read it. So let's see. Chris from Tampa. We're seeing way more repairs with internal brace lately rather than the standard Tommy John. Surgeons are clearing them to throw much earlier, and frankly, it scares me. Are we rushing these guys back too fast? What are the red flags you look for in these accelerated UCL protocols that differ from the traditional reconstruction we've done for decades? Good question, Chris. I mean, it's funny, like you could tell you've done this for a while just by reading your question, right? The traditional reconstruction we've done for decades, I'm kind of reading into it. So we have this new internal brace. Let's start with this. I'll kind of lead some questions here. What do you think in the last year in your guys' caseloads? I know Anthony and Lenny, at least, myself, I'm not sure, Brendan, how many you have over at your place, but how many internal braces are we seeing and not reconstructions? What do you think? What's the percentage you think? What do you think, Anthony?
I feel like it's half for me. I'm seeing it so much more of internal braces, especially kind of in the college level. It's just like it's so much more prominent than what I've been seeing in the past in terms of the reconstruction versus the hybrid. So that's just me personally. I don't know, Len, is that similar for you?
Yeah, I think it was a little less for me. My gut said 30%, something like that. Where I have a couple right now that are isolated, but the majority are hybrids for me. Yeah, in my head.
I feel like on my end, they were, the reconstructions went to internal braces for a hot second, but then hybrids took over. So a reconstruction with internal brace. And now I kind of feel like they're scaling back again, and we're starting to see more internal braces and less hybrids again. So it's, but I would say the traditional Tommy John reconstruction's gone, right? Like it's either an internal brace or it's a Tommy John reconstruction with an internal brace or a hybrid, right? Anybody disagree?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Mine is just all internal brace right now.
No way, really. It's just all internal brace. Yeah. So, it's funny. I mean, so what was our first internal brace, you think? Like 2013-ish? Is that what it was when Dr. Dugas down in Birmingham started doing internal braces?
It was probably around there, 2012-ish, yeah.
It's funny. Were you scared?
Yeah. It all happened by accident. It was a Troy pitcher who just pitched earlier than he was supposed to and did well. So I think we were like, oh, they can handle it. Troy University. Dugas is the team doctor for Troy. And the kid just kind of violated all, the restrictions.
If that's the methodology, then I think we need to have a kid like that violate a traditional Tommy John.
That's how we got ACL rehab advanced, right? By the Shelbourne paper in 90. It was just they all violated the precautions and then they did well. So, yeah.
I just remember because the doctors are like super gung ho about this at the beginning. I think we're starting to get them to scale back a little bit here, but they're super gung ho that they can go super fast, like get back a lot faster. And we were just like, oh man, like this seems too fast for us. Like, I don't know. What were your initial thoughts, Len? And then as you went through the first people, like, what do you think? Like,
Yeah.
were you
my
still
initial
scared?
thought, yes. I'm not scared anymore, but initially in my head, you're putting a tissue in that's not the patient's own tissue. And so I thought it would take longer for that to kind of incorporate, almost like an allograft, but even like not, it's not even like tissue. It's just like material. So in my head, I'm like, wow, we're getting these kids to throw earlier with tissue that's not theirs. I'm worried that it's not going to incorporate into the bone and stabilize appropriately, and we're just going to rip it out. And I was like, oh, we're going to throw it 10 weeks? Like, we're just like, if we have them like, do a slow or a regular rehab for the first 4 to 6 weeks, that gives us a month to basically get them ready to throw. And it felt like it was quick with healing and strengthening wise. And I don't think I'm not doing a lot of throwing at 10 weeks, but like 12, 14 weeks, we get an extra few weeks out of it, and they seem to hold up.
It's funny, you said that really well, because I think we all shared kind of the same concerns at the beginning with this, and like, man, why are we rushing back to like throw so fast, right? To me, like, I guess we should probably start with the audience here and just say, what's the difference? But traditional Tommy John, like I would say, for the longest period of time, we started throwing at week 16. And in the past, I know Kevin Wilk in the 90s tried week 12, week 20, he tried, a bunch of different things, but, we settled on week 16. And I think week 16 was really there for a very long time. The physicians started to want to slow down a little bit, not really slow down the rehab in terms of starting to throw, I don't think, but really in terms of the whole general rehab process. And to me, I pushed them back to week 20 just because if you go week 20 and then you do a 7th-month throwing program, which by the way is a very long time, right? Like a 7-month throwing program is very long, right? So for these people, they 5 months and 7 months works out pretty good to a year. So we started doing that. Then all of a sudden, as Lenny alluded to, internal braces come out, and the doctors at the beginning weren't they saying 8 to 10 weeks at one point? Or they say 8 weeks at one?
I don't know if I remember
moment?
8, but it was definitely 10. It was trying to just break the sound barrier of like, all right, we're going to get you back faster. Let's go. And this is our selling point. We can get you back faster.
Crazy.
So,
10 weeks. Wow.
Yeah,
All right. So here's a question for, we'll start with Anthony and then, Brendan, Len. Sorry, Dave. Dave's
I actually have an internal brace right now.
Yeah. I mean, with gymnasts, they're going to get it too. Yeah.
Yeah, the non-baseball players are actually perfect for this because like a traditional Tommy John is an enormous procedure for them when an internal brace is much better. All right, let's go to week 10. So your week 10 in an internal brace protocol. How many times have you felt the person you're working with was ready to start throwing? What do you think, Anthony?
Never. Is that too I mean, it's so soon, right? They're wearing the brace for mostly 6 weeks, right? And we're just going to give them a month to get strong enough, get in the gym, and then maybe start applying metric progression. Like, I don't think a month is enough time to do all that stuff. Like, and then it's, starting with the end in mind. How many of these kids do we need to get back in 7, 8 months? Like, a lot of them are getting injured in the spring. Do we need them to be full speed off the mound in November, December? No, like, we have till the next spring to get them ready to go. So I think situationally it depends, but no, to answer your question, 10 weeks seems way too early in my head.
Right. And those kids, we tell them that ahead of time. You're not going to throw it 10 weeks. You got hurt in March or April. We don't need you to peak in November, December. Let's throw it 4 months, something like that, and go traditional. And they all buy in because they realize. Yeah.
Just be careful. That just might not fit into the surgeon's outcome study that they're trying to publish.
Yeah.
So
no, I get
that's
it.
that because sometimes that is part of that process with that. Right. So yeah, I mean, I completely agree, and I actually think 12 weeks which is kind of like 12's, I don't know, probably what we're saying we're probably doing the most now. Somewhere 12 to 16 if we have time. I still think they're not ready at 12 weeks. And if you think about a Tommy John person right now that's getting an internal brace is probably what, like a high school kid, maybe a young college kid. And trust me, you could do these on anybody. Don't get me wrong. That's not my point. But you get a lot of high school and college kids here. And these kids have never done an arm care program. They're barely worked out in the gym. Their mechanics are terrible. The first 6 weeks are damage control. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, pick up a ball again. Like that, it just doesn't make sense. I feel like we don't have time to help this kid, right? And man, when we push back from week 16 to week 20 with the traditional Tommy Johns, I actually think the biggest benefit with that was how prepared their bodies were before they started throwing. To me, that's what stood out. And I think that's why our players have done so well. We went to week 20 years ago, like before I think everybody else was. And it just really benefited. So you have a kid that's never worked out, not physically completely mature, probably no arm care program. And you're essentially saying, however you were when you got hurt is what we're going to get you back to, and we're going to throw again. We don't have time to improve you, right? So, Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I had a kid with an internal brace come in recently, college pitcher, and with this short of a timeline, he missed the first 3 weeks because he got the surgery in California, and then he just didn't come to PT for the first 3 weeks. So with those 3 weeks, that's kind of significantly pushed us back a little bit. So how much do you guys value getting the person into PT, almost immediately?
That's actually great. I'll start with that just because I have a kid now that had an internal brace that started at week 2, and he looks bad. Sorry if you're listening. So it's not that he looks bad. He's behind where I would like him to be. To your point, Brent.
He'll get there.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. Right. So his motion was behind. He wasn't moving around. He actually has some like ulnar neuropathy, and who knows? Maybe that's from sitting in his brace, not moving. Maybe the brace was too tight on his ulnar nerves. Like there's so many reasons other than just like starting the rehab process where you want to go. So yeah, I even started week 2, Brendan, and I thought they were too late. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, I have a kid who just came in who was 9 days post-op, and same thing, stiff, was in the brace locked for 9 days and was nervous to move his arm once we took the brace off. So like the importance of getting started in the first week is, we can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, completely. All right, Dave. Yeah, sorry, Dave. What do you got?
I remember overhearing, maybe Lenny can correct me, but I think, weren't you guys saying too that some of the concern is that the tape and the repair, like the actual ligament, is like really too strong and it's very, very good, and the stress on the other parts around the elbow is what's more concerning? Is kids are getting forearm flexor issues, kids are getting, didn't you have somebody with like a bone. Like tunnel stress reaction? Like, yeah. Is that part of the issue too?
I would say so, that the material is so strong, and I think the fixation is so good that we're seeing more bone stress injuries. I've seen a couple heterotopic ossifications where you're getting bone calcification formation that causes elbow stiffness. It's not just me. I actually spoke to a baseball player up at Colby College in, Maine. They're having the same issue, like motion just doesn't come back. And I threw that idea out at them. Like, it could be this, because you work on flexion, they lose extension. You work on extension, you lose flexion. It just doesn't feel right, but he's throwing and he just keeps pushing through it. But there's something underlying going on. He had a hybrid, if I remember correctly. And I just was like, you got to look deeper into this because you guys are missing something, So yeah.
I was just going to ask that, Len, because I was going to say, I'm not seeing that with internal braces. Was that a hybrid? Because I feel like the hybrids, seeing that a ton.
The hybrids, yeah.
The hybrids are just so tight, especially the surgeons are tightening them up so much. It's, which is interesting. They're, in the mid-range of motion where they throw, they're actually okay. But then even 12 months after the procedure, they feel tight in flexion and extension, but they can throw. So, I don't think the surgeons care because of that, but like, I don't know, I think it bothers us, but, I don't know. So let's shift gears and talk about like outcomes a little bit here, because I think, the exciting part of this is they're doing great. I don't have anything bad to say about internal braces. And for years I said it's promising, it's looking good. But at this point, I think we can firmly say that this is a very, very viable procedure. It is very effective. Recent study by Jeff Dugas and the group out of Birmingham last year showed that the outcomes were excellent, the same as traditional Tommy John. And I think what's happening now is the surgeons are doing a better job like diagnosing the specific type of injury and the right person for these procedures, and they're giving them what they need. So the outcomes are great. So I have no concerns about this. Why don't we end with like the last part of this question and just say like, all right, in your guys' experiences through this rehab process, we talked about some of the things we find. What are some of the red flags? That's what kind of Chris asked, or what are some of the red flags, or what are some of the things like the pearls, that's different with this versus a Tommy John in your experience that you want to share with somebody that maybe hasn't seen a lot of these internal braces? Like, you want to start, Len?
Yeah, I think getting them in early, and getting that motion right away. I think, I don't know if doctors are getting more conservative with these or just in general, but getting them in early, get that motion, get the extension established. These things are fixated. The docs are not worried about anything. Like, they get them moving. It's not going anywhere. But don't be too aggressive, because I do see cases where I inherit cases from other people where they start to feel the stiffness in the elbow, and the clinician freaks out and starts really like cranking on the elbow. And I think that creates more inflammation and more. I think that's probably a couple of reasons why I'm seeing some heterotopic ossification in a couple of mine that I've inherited. So get that motion, especially extension, but don't be too aggressive. And I think just like get these kids, get their strength. Like, don't just follow the 10-week or 12-week protocol. They got to be ready to throw, because it's just going to make the rehab process that much easier when they are, throwing from 90 and beyond, because that's usually where you start to see them breaking down, is they just can't handle those stresses is when they get beyond 90.
Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Lenny said most of the stuff that I was thinking about. Getting in early, making sure not to push flexion too much. It seems like if you're really cranking on that flexion early, that kind of gets them irritated and stiff. And yeah, I think, as somebody who probably sees a little bit less of the internal braces and Tommy Johns in general, I know for me, still ranging them so early at like week 6 or, week 8 into that like layback position is a little scary for me. But I think we have to make sure, like you said, that we're doing all we can to make sure they are appropriate for throwing, a little bit earlier at that week 12 or week 14.
Yeah, I agree, Brendan. It is scary the first time you do it, and you're just like, this seems so fast. That's the whole point of Chris's question too. I like it. So, Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah, just to emphasize what I said earlier, like, just because they can throw at 10 weeks doesn't mean they should throw at 10 weeks, right? So starting with the end in mind is important. They have a lot more time than you probably think they do, and really just take it case by case, because like I said, just because the surgeon says, yeah, throw at 10 weeks, a lot of them probably aren't going to be ready to throw at 10 weeks. So use objective criteria, range of motion, pain-free, right? Make sure their strength's adequate, make sure they complete some sort of plyometric progression first. So 10 weeks, sure, but like probably not. So let's wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I think I would just add, there's a different pain characteristic that I think we're seeing with these, especially when we're pushing. It seems more flexion, but I'm seeing more extension lately too, where they actually point to like the posterior aspect of their medial epicondyle, which is something nobody ever really has pointed with traditional Tommy John. That's completely unique for me. And just keep in mind that I've seen, again, like you could throw no problem. You can do valgus stress testing, no problem. It doesn't hurt. But then again, you push into flexion, and with deep flexion, you get that pain posterior medial. Remember that brace is like duct tape, right? It's not pliable. So who knows? Maybe we're pulling that on a little bit. And I think one of the things we're still trying to learn here is like, is the brace actually what's helping, or is it the fact that the brace holds the ligament repair together better and allows the ligament to actually repair itself better? Maybe it's not the brace a year down the road. I don't think we know that definitively. So kind of keep that in mind. But to answer all your questions, Chris, this thing is good. We were scared, right? And I think Kevin Wilk, we talk about this all the time. We've seen a ton of these with Dr. Dugas. Like he was scared at the beginning, but they're doing great. So I think it's awesome. I want to see more and more of these, because I'm actually liking them better than the hybrids right now. So hopefully there's more to come. So great question, Chris. If you have a question like that, head to mikereinold.com, click on that podcast link and ask away, and be sure to subscribe so you can get notifications for our next episode. Thanks so much.